We're back to discuss the hints, the warnings that Governor Christie got about his aide's potential involvement in the George Washington Bridge lane closures and whether or not there was some willful ignorance on Christie's part. And here to talk about it, we have MSNBC contributor Brian Murphy, a professor at Brooke College. Brian, welcome back. So we set that all up with all these sort of warnings and hints that were in the air before Christie on December 13th goes out there and says, absolutely not, no one on my team, no knowledge, anything like that. We also found out this week, just to add to that, so to set this up even further, in the testimony this week, Druniak talked about how in early December he knew that Wildstein and Baroni, the two, the point men at the Port Authority, were both goners. They were going to be fired. The administration thought that they had screwed things up there pretty badly. So you have that piece of information. Then you have all these warnings we documented, and then on December 19th. A week after that press conference, this is Twitter. This is from Wall Street Journal reporter Ted Mann. He says that on December 19th, Governor Christie said to his colleague, fellow New Jersey reporter Heather Haddon, "You and your paper will owe an apology to Senator Baroni and Mr. Wildstein." Now, given all that we know about the warnings, about what he and his administration thought of the work that Baroni and Wildstein had done, this seems consistent with the guy who's trying to run out the clock here without too many questions being asked.
Yeah, I mean, this is the right venue. He was up against. They knew that the legislative committee was up against the clock, right? That if they could just stretch this out until January, that this could all go away. And he's still, in some ways, they're still using that same press strategy, because the other day Christie was saying, you guys have had 4.5 months to look into this, which, again, I don't think is that long if you don't have cooperative witnesses. But you've had all this time. What have you found? And the other flip side of that is, well, you haven't been cooperative and you haven't been forthcoming about what it is that you know.
And his thing is, we're saying that you have black and white there. That's really what it is. He's saying basically, you don't have a smoking gun on me, then I'm going to sit there and say I am totally exonerated by this. And so at what point, though, does that? What is the downside? Because it's like we can look at all this and we can say, geez, it looks suspicious here. Like maybe he didn't want to ask questions, maybe he didn't want to go after this too aggressively. But yeah, there is no smoking gun out there. There might not be a smoking gun. Can he ultimately get away with doing that?
I think it got harder once the U.S. attorney started looking into it, right? If this had not gotten to that level, if this had just gone away in January, you and I never sat down and had a conversation in January, Don Zimmer never came forward, there wouldn't necessarily be a federal investigation of any kind going on. So, I think that piece, that piece kind of makes the press strategy irrelevant, because there is a process going on they have like 10 investigators working on this in Newark. 10, if anybody around had 10 lawyers with subpoena power working for a prosecutor full-time on this, you could do a lot of work, right? You could do a lot of damage. That process is going to continue whether or not you and I or other people in the press do stories, every other day or every week or whatever, right? That process is kind of immune and insulated from the press.
So he's ultimately the fate of a force that is.
I think so.
It's the force he used to be. He should understand.
And he should know that, right? And he should know that if Chris Christie was digging into Chris Christie right now, I don't think
Christie, the governor, would be squirming. Right?
That's right. I think so.
Right. Well, and that also gets back quickly. We're running low on time here, but it really does stand out to me that the degree to which it wasn't just us. When everybody who saw that, when those emails came out on January 8th and said, "Oh my God, time for some traffic in Fort Lee," he was blindsided. His administration really was. Whatever you say about suspicions, nobody thought this email was out there and this email was coming to light.
They knew that they didn't know that the evidence was out there. They knew that there was a story there. They just didn't know what kind of paper was out there to prove it, and that's why this looks so bad for them right now, because they had made all these statements in December and throughout the fall, like, there's nothing here, there's nothing going on. Even as they knew that there was something up, even as Chris Christie said on December 5th, I kind of wonder if my campaign manager might have been involved. Well, why did he think that?
Yeah.
And if he did think that, why did he continue defending him for that long, and why did he have him in that job, right? They seem to have kept a lot of people around, knowing that there was something awry here.
That's a great question. He's told that Wildstein says Bill Steppian's involved, and his reaction is, and I can't believe that his reaction is, I suspect that. And it's very interesting. I would love to know the answer to that question. My thanks to MSNBC contributor Brian Murphy from Brooke College. Out of time for this segment, unfortunately. What do we know now that we didn't know last week, though? Our answers right after this.